Welcome to another edition of Joseph Apartments Talk Show. We're here with some wonderful guests to talk about what's going on in the apartment industry in Southern California. We have with us, first of all, the Mayor of Whittier. Mayor Joe, can you tell us what's going on in the city of Whittier when it comes to apartments?
You want to do that right now?
Yep.
Or are you going to introduce everybody first?
We'll go this way and then talk
Okay.
about
Well, I got lots of stuff to talk about what's going on in Whittier in general. But as far as apartments and that are concerned, we as a city, it seems like we got discovered by developers, and nothing's been going on for quite a while. We had all the residential stuff. Everything was on hold during the recession when the rates were where they're at, and et cetera. So we've now been discovered, and so we've got the new Penn Comstock condos, 11 units, Park Place luxury apartments, 50 units. We got the apartments on Catalina and Whittier Boulevard and Beverly Townhomes and Amesbury and Park Place, all kinds of different things that are happening.
It's about 10 new apartments going up.
Well, townhomes and apartments. And what's interesting for us, and I don't know if you know this, but for a long time, Whittier's been real reluctant to get into apartments because we have so many. And there was a little bit of, how should I put it, things got a little bit out of control after the earthquake, and a lot of things went up, and there probably weren't as many checks and balances as possible. And so I think the city's been reluctant to do apartments. But it was real interesting. We had somebody come to us and say, you know what, there's a market for apartments. And we said, really? Yeah, millennials. And so we decided, you know what, we saw the proposal, and it's basically it's this Whittier Catalina luxury apartments on Whittier Boulevard across from East Whittier Middle School. And we've been told that a lot of younger people like to get into apartments. They're not ready to jump into home ownership yet. So, and they're willing. They get paid well, and they're willing to pay some money. So we said, you know what? We think that's a good demographic because we want to make sure as a community that we are meeting all sectors of our community, from active adult, whatever, all the way down to kids. And so we now are looking at apartments and new apartment in townhomes. So it's kind of an exciting time for us because if you drive down Whittier Boulevard in major thoroughfares, you'll see new stuff going on everywhere. So,
Mayor, if I've got apartments in Whittier and I have a problem with some kind of a zoning issue or something to do with my apartments, obviously we don't want to bother you. Who do we reach out to?
The best person is community development, and our director there is Connell McNamara. Connell's a really good guy. He's come from, I don't remember where he was before here, but Connell's attitude is basically, don't tell me why we can't do it. Let's figure out a way of making it happen.
What's the number to reach?
I can't give that to you right now. Perhaps when you do your editing of this, we can put that number on the screen. So yeah, but he is at City Hall, and he's a great guy, and he's a guy of action.
So Whittier is more open now to the development of new apartments, and also very friendly, I think, for the apartment owner.
Yeah, well, as far as apartment owners are concerned, it's important to us. It's important to me that we take what we have, our housing stock, whether it be owner occupied or apartment, and we make it as good as we can, as best we can. And so, we have relatively high standards in town. We have people come into us and say, well, you guys are, if I was to do this in this city or this city, you're making me jump through this hoop, this hoop, this hoop. And on the one hand, I want balance. I don't want too much hoop jumping, but on the other hand, I don't want to have really low standards either. So we try to work with apartment owners. We try to, in terms of the housing stock, and encouraging them to do what's necessary to be productive, make money, but at the same time take care of their tenants. And sometimes that gets a little difficult, if you know what I mean, but we try to work through, and that's why I appreciate Connell's leadership at the community.
Thank you, Mayor. Speaking of low standards, Phil, what's going on in the apartment tax world?
He's my friend. I can't believe you said low standards.
I had no respect.
Exactly.
1031 exchanges are really busy. Investors are moving their properties around. They're re-leveraging. They're finding it an opportunity with the interest rates which are beginning to creep. This is the time to start making those moves and re-leverage into something that would be better for them whether it's more cash flow, whether they just want to move their investments to other places. Just in the last couple of days, I've gotten a number of calls on doing properties from people who are selling their properties in New York and exchanging their properties here. Another one from Maryland. So they're moving their properties around, and that's a good thing.
Like Delaware Statutory Trust.
Yeah.
Is that something that you're seeing a lot of, where they, instead of exchanging into another apartment,
Right,
they park their money?
right.
Do
But
you
it
like
is a
that?
parking, but it's not a parking. They're actually acquiring. The IRS has approved Delaware Statutory Trust, also known as DSTs, as like kind for an upleg in a 1031 exchange. Those were created much like the old TICs of 10 years ago, which allows you to have hands-off, passive type income, where you can acquire part of a 200-unit apartment building and not have to manage it anymore. And they'll let you do a 1031 exchange in and out of it. Earlier this year, I was in DC. I was on Capitol Hill, and I also met with some of the IRS people. And they've been talking about making some changes in the code sections, and they were talking about maybe possibly getting rid of the 1031 exchange under the name of tax reform. We've also heard that they're talking about possibly getting rid of the stepped up basis, reducing the 121 primary residence exemption, and then ultimately altering the interest deductions. I don't think they'll take it away, but I think they'll just alter them, which you could do on your primary residence. So as far as the tax world's concerned, there's a lot happening. We have a new administration coming in, which seemingly is more pro real estate. I guess time will tell to see what they come up with. But, we think the exchange is still a viable form of moving your assets around that allows an investor to go into other types of property that they want to.
And if still people have questions on their existing taxes and exchange, what's your phone number real quick?
Area code 213-479-8800.
Thank you. Richard, what's going on with insurance? Anything new that you can share with us?
Well, the insurance doesn't change much. What changes is the replacement cost value, that if you're not keeping up with the replacement cost value. And some of the claims that we're getting now, there's employment practices, third-party liability issues. You might have a contractor that you come in. If you don't have that employment practices, and there's no third-party coverage, better make sure that contractor has insurance and names you as an additional insured. So that's one thing. Another thing is the water losses are just becoming crazy, and it's a simple fix, just a regular maintenance schedule that you go in. I'll give you an example personally. My water heater started leaking. My neighbor calls me and says, "Rich, you better come and look." And so I'm out in the field. My wife, well, call the plumber. Calls the plumber. $300 later, he fixes a $15 water hose. Right? So just basic maintenance is the stuff. And
How
that's
often
what
do
we
you
do.
recommend people update their insurance estimate for their portfolio then, as far as coverage?
At least every 3 years. If you've got the right policy, they'll keep inflation protection, right? But you have to watch that too, and that's where it comes in, is communicate with your agent, make sure that you're not going too far overboard. During the Depression, pricing stalled, and insurance companies kept raising the replacement costs, and it really wasn't going up. So that's where your insurance agent comes in and helps you.
So, Richard, I could take my current insurance policies, put them in a box, take them over to you. You'd analyze them all and tell me where I'm too high, too low, give me a free estimate, free analysis.
Yes,
Phone number to get a hold of you?
714-522-0081.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Eric, you're the bad guy today because rates are going up and we're holding you personally responsible for the increase in rates. What's going on with apartment loans, and what do you see in the future with the administration or with just the economy in general?
Well, from an investment standpoint, investment loans are getting more creative. The no income, no asset verification, up to 75% is available for multiple unit properties, commercial properties. Maximum 75% loan to value, and if you have really good credit, you're talking in the 7 to 8% range, without having to provide any income documentation. The property, if the property cash flows, it's a deal that's going to happen. From the consumer standpoint, the lack of affordable housing is creating more 4-unit opportunity for acquisitions, and so a lot of people don't know that You don't need 20 or 25% down to buy a 4-unit building. You can buy a 4-unit building with 3.5% down, FHA, and you just have to occupy one of the units. And so we're seeing more and more families come together because they can't find anything affordable. And as interest rates continue to rise, which they have and will continue to rise, I mean, the party's over. It's been an 8-9 year run. And if anyone thinks it's still playing the market, they're foolish. Every loan in my pipeline right now is locked. I mean, from day one, because of the volatility of the market. And the new administration is kind of unorthodox in how they're doing things. And so shocks here and there in the marketplace creates some instability and uncertainty about what's happening. So, but rates are rising as well as real estate. And so I'm bullish about acquisition, and the more creative we get in financing, both for consumers and investors, the more, business we can do, the more people we can help get into the game.
How high you think rates are gonna go? And are we getting back to 206? Are we getting close again?
Every Tuesday night I'm live online, and I do a presentation about the history of interest rates. And I was talking about the 80s, where we saw double-digit 18%, 17% interest rates. Some of you here probably bought your first home at those rates. And unfortunately, millennials are they have no concept of what even our interest rate is, to be honest with you. They don't. They think that what we've been experiencing the last 8 years is normal, and it is not, Mr. Millennial. It is not.
It's artificial.
It is artificial, and we will see, I believe, double-digit interest rates. I really believe that's going to happen probably within the next, I would say, 24 to 48 months, depending on what the Fed does. I mean, if the Fed raises rates, which everyone's leaning to the fact that they're probably going to do that, I think once they start, they won't stop. Every meeting we'll see 8th to quarter increases, and I just think that's going to start the snowball effect. I hope I'm wrong, for the sake of my business.
You're the bad guy today. Eric, how do people get a hold of you if they want to refinance what they have now or get some of these low interest rates, no qualifying loans?
Well, if you go to thepowerisnow.com, thepowerisnow.com, you can apply online, just go into mortgages, or a fast way is apply to buy now, applytobuynow.com. That will take you to the mortgage application. You can reach me at 800-401-8994, extension 703.
Thank you, Eric. And Bill, what is going on? And tell us about your book. It just came out, last couple months
A couple
ago?
months ago. You haven't seen me on a late night show yet?
Yeah, I did see you on the Light Show. Yes, I did. What's new from your
I
point of
want to thank you for putting on something like this for your clients. Not a lot of realtors do this, and this is really good. Okay, that in mind, I try to do the same thing. Working with my legacy plan. Here's my legacy plan. CPA has got 2 restaurants we were talking about, and a whole lot of things. When he came in, went through the workman's comp, saved me $10,000. So we're trying to get people that are working with their kids, because the kids can do something rather than when it's too late. Just an outline of my book. Quickly, then I'll answer questions, and Tim has some. Everybody's gonna have a written plan. You got to measure your IRR, rate of return. You got 18-year cycle. You might want to. I'll talk to you about that and where I think I differ from you. And compounding is real important in the book. There's a person, my favorite investor, by the way, that was turning properties in 4 years rather than 6 years. And over 24 years, he ended up with $8 million more. And so that 4-year period of time is $960 a day, every day for 24 years. The power of compounding. That's not even compared with people that buy and hold, which is a big mistake on some. If you have one property or the major property, okay, but if you're a true investor, you don't want to do that. Okay, person should know their options, the legacy I talked about before, and the market conditions. Tim has put together the computers that you're not a millennial, but younger than me, and he'll tell you about it. And if you've got questions, I got some different opinions than some of you people might have because I'm a contrarian.
So to get more information, buy the book.
Yeah, Yeah.
It's available on Amazon and
Or
anything
at
else?
the office.
It will be. We're selling it right now through the office. So contact us at the office.
So how do we reach you? What's your phone number?
714-255-9998.
Tim, what do you, anything new on your end?
You know what? We just came out with our third quarter multi-housing guide, and we're a little different than other realtors that are out there. We provide information. So our segment is really this 3 through 24 units, multifamily, residential, and selected kind of North Orange County, some sort South Orange County markets. We look at cap rates, we look at rental rates, we look at everything that's going on, and so. And we send this out quarterly. So if you didn't get it, you can always contact our office and we can give you a copy of that. But what we like to do is work with our clients. Legacy planning is a big part of our business, and it's just about providing information, knowing where the market's going. And right now, prices are very high. It's a good time, but those days on market are lengthening, and those prices are starting to teak. So what we're seeing is the people that are buying are on the exchanges, or they're buying because they're buying the next door neighbor's 4-unit building, and they're willing to accept paying a 20-30% premium, which is probably what they're paying right now. Because if we hit those double-digit interest rates, that $1.3 million fourplex is not going to be $1.3 million anymore. So it's a good time to look at your portfolio and figure out which are the ones that you don't want to be owning 3 years from now if interest rates are double digits.
Orange County, 20 to 30% overpriced. There's a premium on that. We're recommending people doing partial exchange, pulling back some money, and having a balanced portfolio. I can do this if this happens. I can do this if this happens.
If they're going to do a partial exchange, what are you going to do with the remaining balance of cash?
I'm glad you asked. Okay, the Delaware Statutory Trust, so you shelter some of the taxes. Take the money and put upgrading your other property so some of that gain goes away because you're expensing it off.
You're creating additional
Yeah,
depreciation.
upway. Putting reserve.
Well,
fund
these
together.
guys could go on forever, and we'll be here for the next 3 hours, but I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you for watching. We've had the mayor of Whittier, tax expert, an insurance expert, a mortgage expert, and a expert in the apartment sales here. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next month. If you have more questions, just phone or email the address or the individual at the bottom of this screen, and we'll see you next month.
You told me, boy, look the other way.